What's up YouTube, Capital G here. This is a super low rated duels. I gotta compose myself actually. I just watched this duel. It was sent to me a few days ago and I got around to watching it, and this is this might be the funniest duel I've ever seen in my entire life. I was literally I was laughing out loud because the crazy turn that this duel took. Now you can obviously tell it's low rated duels. I mean, how many decks really play like hand destruction? And I've always personally said any deck that plays like one day a piece in the main deck, it's probably a degenerate deck. So this guy is playing Mill. He's playing Deckout because he's got that Needleworm, and he actually opens with the really spicy combo of Gravekeeper Servant plus Dimensional Fissure. If you don't know, what Gravekeeper Servant does is every time your opponent's monster wants to declare an attack, they have to mill the top card of their deck and send it to the graveyard. But obviously they can't do that if Dimensional Fissure is on the field because they don't know whether that card's going to be a monster. So they can't actually pay the cost, thus they can never actually attack. It's like a really old combo from like the original Yu-Gi-Oh days. Or when did Dimensional Fissure come out? I feel like, actually I feel like this is a GX card. So anyways, it's an old combo. Just know that it's like over a decade old. So anyways, we're gonna roll this and you guys are just gonna at some points of this duel, it looks like this is like, yeah, it's cute Yu-Gi-Oh. I call cute when people play like bad cards and it's almost like they don't know that better cards exist, but it gets really lolsy. All right, so he opens with the combo. He opens with a Needleworm. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. He's going for mill or whatever. His opponent plays Cup of Ace and lets him draw 2 cards, then activates double hand destruction, and he's losing cards at a rapid pace. Then he activates another Cup of Ace, giving his opponent 2 more cards. This dude, he gave this dude like 6 cards this turn, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Are you trying to lose? Like, it really does look like it looks like he's trying to lose, right? He plays Card Demise, and he gets a Bait Doll and a Threatening Roar. So he summons Chainsaw Insect. If you don't know what this card does, it's it's terrible. It's from like Magic Ruler or something like that. If this card attacks or is attacked, your opponent draws 1 card at the end of the damage step. It has to go to damage calculation. If they Mirror Force it or whatever, they don't get to draw the card. But it literally lets your opponent draw cards. So you look how many cards this guy has, and you're like, oh, okay, well, he's clearly gonna win. He has so many cards, and this guy just threw the game. And I don't know, man. But he's playing Deckout, so I really don't know what, it's gonna take him a while considering this guy's like playing 50 cards. So he uses he uses Needleworm, gets a couple of cards off of his deck to the graveyard, and I believe he set a card. He set Worm. I've never Worm. Oh my god, it's so difficult to pronounce. Worm. Okay, that's as good as it's gonna get. So he plays that, sets a deep prison face down, and then just passes turn. Play goes back to this guy. He draws. He activates Bait Doll. I think he's targeting the deep prison. Yeah. Then he searches for Appropriate with Gold Sarcophagus. How many people play Appropriate to begin with, and then how many people put such a heavy emphasis on getting Appropriate that they would literally gold Sark for it? Like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna ask any questions. Book a Moon on the Needleworm so that he can flip it again. He plays Regeki, and then Threatening Roar was played because 750 damage too strong. Alright, top deck's a copy of Dark World Dealings. He passes, and I think, he doesn't have any monsters, so he's actually going to start using these worms and start attacking. He's actually doing a decent amount of damage here. I mean, when you add them all up, it's like a decent amount. He top decks Dark Bribe, sets everything, and then passes. This is like where it's going to get lolly. It's going to get lolly when the Appropriate comes into fucking play. Alright, so Threatening Roar is played because he doesn't want to take all of this damage. What is this? This is 12, so he's taking 1950 a turn, roughly almost 2,000 damage, which means I think he's just going to set a card and pass. Yeah, he just sets a card and passes. And sets another Dark Bride that he top decked. Okay, got the Solemn Strike. I don't know how good that's gonna be. Here's the part where I was like, okay, I don't know what the skill level of these players are, or if they're just trolling. He activates a card called Assault on GXQ, and I had to actually look. I had to read this card. I was like, what does this card do? You select the monster on your side of the field to activate the card. You destroy the selected monster, and then you send the 2 top cards of your opponent's deck to the graveyard. Obviously, it's a card that helps you deck out your opponent, but how effective is that gonna be? You're taking a neg, and he still has like 31 cards in his deck, but he Dark Bribes it. He's like, no, that card is too strong. I want to keep my cards on the top, so he Dark Bribes it. I think he actually Dark Bribed just so he could use Appropriate, but this guy was gonna take a neg, but instead this guy takes a neg. Like, what is even going on in this duel? But I think he wanted to do that so that he could activate Appropriate. That's the only thing I can think of. So anyways, He's able to go in the battle phase now. He's able to do that 1950. And it's looking kind of bleak over here, because if you just look at terms of advantage, okay, so this guy has like 3 cards, and this guy has like, what, 8 plus 4? He has 12 cards to 3 cards. He has 4 times as many cards. Like, how is he going to win? And even though this is a mill deck, I mean, he figures if my opponent's going to leave their field open, I might as well just attack, even though that's not my win condition. So he gets another copy of Appropriate. He activates Dark World Dealings. See, this is when Appropriate is going to become actually pretty, like, the tits here. If you don't know what Appropriate does, anytime your opponent draws outside of their draw phase, you get to draw 2 cards. So if you force them to draw with Dark World Dealings, you actually activate Appropriate. Same thing with the Dark Bribe and whatnot. So he activates Bait Doll, ends up getting rid of the Solemn Warning. Activate Upstart's Goblin, activates Upstart Goblin, and then gets a Jar of Avarice. He might have played, did he play Into the Void? Yeah, I think Into the Void may have been played at some point there. But you see he has double Dark Bribe, so no spells and traps are being played. This guy Dark Holes the field. Oh my god. That's the part that got me. He Dark Holes the field. When he has 4 monsters on board, he Dark Holes the field. And this guy changed Jar of Avarice. He's like, hold on. I gotta change. I don't even know what's happening at this point. So he changed Jar of Avarice so that he obviously doesn't deck out. And he draws a hand destruction. The worms are going to activate, and he has to mill a couple of cards. Was that really worth the Dark Hole, though? Was that really worth the neg? What was that, like a neg 4 Dark Hole? That's the stupidest thing ever. Alright, so he sets Transmigration Prophecy and hand destruction. I told you this duel is fucking lousy. Puts the Marshmallow in attack mode, and then he chains Transmigration Prophecy. Okay, sets of Gravity's Bind. Has the Gift of Greed. I bet you never thought you'd see this card played, right? Alright, so he summons the Wormhorn. He's going to attack, but he stops and he activates Gift of Greed in the battle phase, which lets this guy draw 2 cards, which in turn lets him draw 2 cards. So now the funny thing is, even though this guy's playing deck out, he actually has less cards. Like, he has 13 cards. Like, he's actually close to decking out now. That's actually the fun. That's what I noticed. I was like, wait a minute, is he actually going to deck out? So he's playing Needleworm too. Fucking surprise. He's playing Needleworm. So they're like both playing fucking deck outs. He activates Cup of Ace. He lets his opponent draw 2. He draws 2, activates activates Hand Destruction, then plays Bait Doll. He's just going to chain the Gravity Bind on Bait Doll. So Gravity Bind OP. Then he activates Book of Eclipse for some reason. I really don't know. Oh, he used the Book of Eclipse to let him draw more cards. Look how many cards is in this guy's hand, but he only has 6 cards left in his deck. So he thought he was hot shit the entire duel, forcing this guy to deck out, and then he's going to be the one that ends up decking out. That's kind of crazy, man. So play goes, he activates Upstart, change Jar of Greed to that. Jar of Greed is actually a counter to this guy's deck. Then he activates Present Card and fucking, oh my goodness, guys. He discards his entire hand and has to draw 5 cards, which means he now has 1 card in deck. Now, this guy actually has to draw a bunch of cards too, and since he has Appropriate on the field, he'll draw 2 more cards. So he's going to have a super strong hand, but obviously the Jar of Avarice, he's getting his stuff back. Now, he goes into attack mode, but even though he was only going to take 900 damage, he uses Swift Scarecrow for what reason? I don't even understand why. It gets banished because of Dimensional Fissure, but he was like, no. I don't even want to take the 900 damage and lose to some random stuff. So Book of Eclipse is drawn, and this guy ends up scooping because he no longer has any cards left in his deck. I'm sorry. The first time I watched this duel, I was literally on the fucking floor like laughing because I didn't understand it. I thought at first that they were just terrible players, and then I thought this guy was like nuts, giving up all. Then I was like, wait a minute, are you playing a deck out deck too? But I'm sorry, this duel was just, it was too fucking funny for me not to upload. So anyways, I hope I get more replays sent to me like this that are just completely off the wall, low rated. Like, this is not a low rated duel. This is a super fucking low rated duel. I mean, we saw like a neg 4 Dark Hole, and I don't even know what to say. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you guys next time.